Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The CDL is finally back tomorrow. Most teams only play one game this weekend, but Kenny will have his revenge match ready against his old organisation, the Los Angeles Thieves, here on the Sunday. But also Kenny revealing in an interesting video last night exactly what Shotzzy brings to the table more so than the stat sheet will tell you, saying that the impact goes far beyond what most players and potentially even pundits actually understand. Very much into your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. There was some quality stuff, I'm not going to lie. For Valentine's Day yesterday, these were a selection of the ones that the Breaking Point boys put together. This one especially, I'm not going to lie, on FaZe, I thought was absolutely sensational. From aBeZy, called me FaZe the whale, finished second. I thought that was the best one that I saw of the day. So, yeah, FaZe not going to be living this one down anytime soon if they keep delivering the Grand Finals appearances, but not the event victories, as they have done, to be fair, for the last couple of years. This is also from Zinni as well. I want everyone to guess who booked the same restaurant as me for Valentine's Day 15 minutes after my reservation. You know, there were lots of speculation in the replies as to who this man might have potentially been. But also, speaking of Valentine's Day, we got this yesterday from the Seattle Surge. And this has got to be one of the strangest roster announcements that I've personally ever seen, really. Okay, it's not actually a roster announcement, but this is the first confirmation we have as to what's going on with the Seattle Surge. We've seen some strange announcements over the last few months. Of course, Vegas Legion, kind of famously, the AI announcement that they did. We'll see in a second here, they actually confirm what their full roster is going to be, and they haven't done that with AI because they got all the backlash for the AI roster announcement that Vegas did. Probably for good reason. To be fair, Attach explained it and said that it was just some intern went rogue and he didn't really get the sign-off or anything. And to be honest, I didn't really massively mind it. I just thought it was funny because it shows the type of organisation that Vegas are. But I guess you can't do everything AI generated, right? If you're dropping players with an AI generated graphic, that's only going to be seen as massively disrespectful, so probably best for Vegas to do it the proper way from now, which they are, you know, they're paying someone to do it, and fair enough. But Surge do the following. So love is in the air, would you stroke right on these cuties? And of course we've got 4 players. Here's number 1 Hook, here's number 2 aBeZy, here's number 3 Heretics, and then of course number 4 being aBeZy, their new man. Of course Illy's not here. This is the first time that they have made any kind of like official confirmation that Illy is the one to be making way from the roster. We know aBeZy's coming in. That was confirmed officially by Surge the other day, and we'll talk more about this later on today because there's, you know, quite a few updates on that and more to say on the matter for sure. But yeah, just in terms of Seattle's roster, this is effectively the way that they've confirmed it. Again, not really mentioning or delving into the situation at all, almost just pretending that Illy doesn't even exist. And I think that it doesn't, you know, all the drama around the accusations, everything that went on with Illy, Surge are not helping the situation, I don't think, at all, by just pretending that Illy doesn't even exist, right? I mean, they're not even mentioning him. I mean, they only tag the guys involved. Illy, I mean, we're guessing he's benched, right? We're guessing that he's not dropped or anything, but we simply don't know. And, you know, it's just an absolutely wild situation, to be honest. But we do have another couple of other roster things as well. Firstly, from the Subliners, they've got a new Academy roster. They play around with this a fair bit, and you guys can get involved, I think, in actually voting on who they sign in their Subliners Battle Pass, which is free to get involved with. But these guys are going to sign, of course, Glow Frosty, right, Hamza, Krazekin, Wiz, and then Big Head as well, rounding out the team. So definitely interesting changes that they're making over there, but still cool to see some organizations actually featuring an academy, because there was some talk for some time that maybe teams should be mandated to do so, but as Hex said, and I think for good reason, for a couple of years, there isn't the return, really, for these organizations to do it. Some organizations, though, have found the return by finding next up players, or of course in Subliners' case, getting the community more involved in it. Of course, teams like Toronto, they found some good assets down from their Ultra Academy teams. I mean, they had the NA Academy, the EU Academy over the last couple of years, and they've, you know, Scrappy, Hixie, players that won championships for those guys, come through their academy system, as have others that have gone on to do great things elsewhere. So it can have some advantages, but the league doesn't make it, you know, particularly attractive to many teams that haven't necessarily done this before. Vegas, for example, are never going to have an academy. They've released Standy officially a couple of days ago, and yesterday they confirmed that Geo will be the man to come in to replace him. So there was some talk with Vegas. Would they make another change? Would they just stick to the one-man move? Standy gone is controversial controversial enough in the first place, given the fact that Purge has not been great for this team, and statistically it's been their weakest player. Like, there's no doubt about it. Statistically, it's been the weakest player, I'm pretty sure, in the entire league. But he stays. Now, he is going to change roles. He's going to go over, we're pretty sure, to like the second SMG role, which will be an actual second SMG in the game most of the time now, you would think. Given the changes of the patch updates, Rio now into play, you know, the second SMG will be more full-time than it has been previously. Geo is more than likely going to be on the flex, Attach on the main, and then Nero as the absolute cracked-out sub that he has been for the last couple of years. But no, they didn't decide to commit to making an extra change. They arguably could have done, but they've just stuck to the one-man move. Will this be enough to really move the needle on Vegas? Because, I mean, look, I somewhat doubt it. Personally, maybe it's going to be interesting, and Standy goes, and all of a sudden they take a big step forward, is kind of what happens with the Toronto Ultra. They took a step forward after Standy was gone, but there was clearly some large degree of internal friction there between Standy and Scrappy at the time. I don't really know if that was the same situation here on Vegas. If it is, then of course there's questions to be raised on exactly why this is a consistent trend. Now, we also got this from Fire40. I think I shared a clip at the end of maybe last night's video or the earlier one. I forget exactly when it was. I think it was the most recent one that I did before this one comes out. At the end, there was a clip that I put in with Nameless basically roasting Fire40, right? And Dashy was laughing about it, and it was quite a funny clip. And Fire40, you know, this guy got roasted bad at the time when he was on the Vegas Legion. I even mentioned it a couple of days ago, right, that Fire's a player that is actually pretty damn good, but his reputation from the time that he was in the league was so tarnished that it's difficult for these guys to really work their way back in. And even if, you know, Fire's absolutely frying, which it seems to be pretty much at the moment, won the most recent Challengers Cup, it's still difficult to get over that hurdle of what happened the first time he was in the league. So, as Fire says, you know, the way some pros speak about me to their streams is insane. You know, let me get hand-fed too. And he says, look, he didn't do this in the league. It's been 3 years. My life is completely different now. I'm a whole different person. Shut up with this old stuff already. You guys just don't understand. And actually, Parasite says the following here. Fire was a good flex on Legion back in Cold War. They made him move to a sub to try and fix their problems, but the team was so bad that it didn't help, and Fire got cooked like every other SMG on the roster was. People like to hate because he had a bad series, he's good. The narrative around him is BS, right? To trying to say, look, maybe Fire deserves a spot back in the league. So Theory comes out and kind of explains their side of it and says that, you know, you realize you can build somebody up without basically criticizing it and burning down the decisions that Paris made at the time. And I always find it interesting where, like, the coaches come out to defend their perspective on Twitter. And I understand why they do so, and there's been multiple coaches that have done this over the last several years to kind of, you know, defend decisions they've made or whatever, and I totally understand it, but, you know, people would say, look, maybe just deliver some results and then do the talking on the server rather than on the timeline. But, yeah, Theory says, look, we switched him to a sub because he wasn't good with the Krig. He looked better in practice when he played more aggressive. You couldn't play as aggressive with a Krig, so he tried him on the sub, and that's kind of Theory's explanation. But as Parasite says, he deserved better. I'll stand on that statement any way that you spin it. So pretty funny, really. And we'll see if I gets another chance. I think it would be nice to see if that was the case, but it's still, you know, it's still somewhat doubtful given what players remember when Fire was in the league. So this Sunday, biggest game of the weekend, no doubt, is going to be Los Angeles Thieves versus OpTic Texas. Now, based on their relative performances so far this season, you'd say, you know, it's not going to be close, right? Thieves have been getting slammed, but we don't really know how their team is looking now. Kenny was on the team previously, won the World Championship there, long-standing member of the organization. Now he, of course, is on OpTic Texas, and it's been a great rivalry anyway for the last few years. Now, maybe that won't be the case this year, but it's going to be the first time that OpTic and Thieves have matched up against each other so far this season, and they've made a couple of changes. Nastie's now in the roster for Cammy. Kremp is in the roster, of course, for JoeDeceives. We have no idea, based on scrims or anything, has that moved the needle for those guys? I don't think they can get any worse, theoretically, than they were before, to be honest. So I'm expecting Thieves to take some sort of a step in the right direction. But of course, Shotzzy's also been talking about, well, his teammates and how that's potentially looking for the new season. This is the SMG player ladder that Breaking Boy to put together here based on numbers and other things as well. So the top 5, CleanX, Simp, Pred, Envoy, HyDra. That's probably a pretty good list, to be honest. HyDra's not been like an absolute insane-o takeover player that he maybe was previously, but I mean, last year, you gotta say, HyDra was literally the best player in the game, I think by a mile, actually. And Kismet was also insanely good. So maintaining that level was probably already going to be a bit of a challenge. But you'll notice here, honourable mentions, Lin's in number 6, aBeZy 7th, MettalZ 8th, Gwyn 9th, Snoopy 10th. So no Shotzzy here, which I thought was kind of surprising to me personally, with all these ahead of Shotzzy, right? But, you know, there's been lots to talk about his playstyle over the last couple of weeks, and Kenny, it's always a pleasure hearing Kenny's perspective really on, you know, how he thinks about the game. Did a great video on this last night, and I'll share a couple of moments here where he discusses plays that Shotzzy made, certainly on sub-base, against Seattle in the series they played at the Major, that don't show up on the scoreboard, but were just incredibly impactful, and people maybe don't understand exactly what Shotzzy does that brings this to the table.
So to me, like, once again, I said it before the map started, like, obviously people are gonna look at KDs and say that me and Pred are carrying or playing well. We're obviously playing well, but like, once again, this play by Shotzzy is like sets up everybody for free kills on the map. Because once he gets to this area, like I said, we can just freely flood this P5 building and just get a kill. At this point, it's like, yo, just get a kill. I have them cut on new. They cannot be on the new hill. We don't have to worry about hill time because we know for a fact they're not on the new hill because where Shotzzy is. And all you have to do is get a kill. So now it makes everybody's job way easier to just flood to the new hill and, like I said, get a kill. But I think plays like this, like I said, kind of go underrated because people don't really understand what his play is here or what his idea is here. So at this point, like, he dies. And people might be like, oh, Shotzzy, you could have played your life. But it's like, at this point, he has a free death. His death doesn't even matter anymore. He's already made the play to win us a new hill. Now it's up to us to just shoot them together and basically get a team fire or a team shot going. As you can see, it's once again Shotzzy behind enemy lines. I feel like I said, once again, unless you look at the minimap when these matches happen, play is underratedly godlike for this because he gets out early to the point where like none of them can even think about him being behind them, and he gets us all the info we need. Yo, there's nothing on this side of the map. They're all on this side of the map. All on this side of the map. He has cleared all of this. Nothing on that side of the map. We can play fast and just basically cut towards this side of the map. And here he obviously pinches for free, and it makes them spawn out. So 7 should spawn out behind this right here. Boom. Now we force them to an awkward position because they're inside a building and they don't really have any team fire going or any help with the guy on the hill. So here it just makes it an easy break for us because of the fact that like Shotzzy clears half of the map basically for us and makes it easier for us to like not think about clearing certain spots or clearing the map at all. We just cut to the hill together and basically use some teamwork and shoot people together. And he also flips them behind the old hill. Once again, like I said, right here they spawn out as far as ever, and it makes it easier for us to get time because they spawn so far.
So we know full well there's been plenty of criticism of Shotzzy's style over, I mean, look, for some time now, largely coming out of X on the flag where we know this to be true for quite some time, you know, saying he's not a superstar and all this type of stuff. And look, by the numbers, you know, X probably has a point. But obviously, those don't tell the entire story. I think it goes both ways, right? Because sure, Shotzzy definitely makes plays, as Kenny was pointing out very nicely, that do not appear on the scoreboard and are way more impactful than people give him credit for. Does it also mean, though, that he doesn't make mistakes and throw away his life in certain circumstances? No. And, you know, in some cases in hardpoints, you can afford to die in certain situations once you've got the information. In Search and Destroy, for example, that becomes less valid because the lives are more important, right? But at the end of the day, I've always thought that this talk over the last few weeks about how the fact that Shotzzy is playing the game wrong and all these other issues, you know, that's often discussed in the respawn context, but really their respawn's been pretty damn good. It's their search that's been more problematic. So we'll see if that's fixed against Thieves. I mean, of course, Thieves are a team so far this season that have looked terrible in the respawns. I'm pretty sure in hardpoint they're 1 in 12 on like a crazy loss streak. So if OpTic can keep up their level that they performed in hardpoint so far this season, and if Thieves can't get much better in that mode, then, you know, OpTic will win both the hardpoints in the series, if there even are 2 hardpoints in the series. But in Search and Destroy, Thieves have been okay, and I mean, who knows how these changes will affect things, but I definitely expect Afro to be slightly more comfortable playing now with Nastie instead. Those two got along very well on the London team a couple of years ago, and then Kremp has been killing it in challenges as well with some high slaying potential. So it's going to be a fascinating series, but very much interested your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.